Floyd Mayweather reacted to Lomachenko losing to Lopez by stating light win, in which he placed a bet on Lopez to beat Vasyl Lomachenko. Mayweather bet $6,500. That's nothing to Floyd, but the principle is, you could bet on Floyd, but you can't bet on Loma. Truth be told, this was Lomachenko Canelo Alvarez on a lighter scale. And this proves that experience is not everything. Lomachenko had every advantage on his side, like I pointed out before. Lomachenko is actually in his prime, unlike Floyd when he fought Canelo Alvarez. Floyd was 36 going into 37. Meanwhile, Lomachenko is actually 32 years old. This is the best version of Lomachenko, going up against Lopez, who was ironically the same age as Canelo when he fought Floyd. However, the difference is with a little bit less experience, with less fights. Lopez had 15 fights. Canelo had nearly 50 fights, with 8 years experience since he turned pro at 15 years old. On the other hand, Lopez only been a pro for 4 years. But nevertheless, Lopez actually proved he was born ready. And as far as I know, old media was hyping up Lomachenko so much that he was supposed to watch Lopez. This was his coming out party. Lomachenko is 32 years old. Lomachenko is in his prime. Lomachenko fought at 132 and won a gold medal in the Olympic at that weight. So 135 is very comfortable for him. It's only his third weight division. He's in his prime, like I pointed out, fighting a guy that is unexperienced who only have 15 fights. But skill paid the bills. People didn't want to give Floyd Mayweather credit. They made all type of excuses when it came to Canelo, even though Canelo had more than 50 fights around the time. He'd been a pro for like 8 years. When Floyd Mayweather fought him, he was 23 years old, the same age as TEO. The only advantage he had is that he went 12 rounds a couple times against a Trout and many more. He was a unified champion, matter of fact. So he was ready. He said he was born ready. But skills pay the bills, and TEO proved that tonight. So old media could erase Lomachenko losses. Old media could do whatever is possible on their end in order to boost up Lomachenko. But one thing they cannot do is fight for him. He still got to fight for himself at the end of the day, or at least the night. And tonight, he pretty much got exposed for being overhyped. Obviously, Gennady Golovkin was overhyped. They put him on the greatest list of the past 25 years. But we ended up seeing what took place when it came to Gennady Golovkin. He got exposed against Jacob, Canelo Alvarez, and Devyachenko. And then that's when Max Kellerman chose to jump off the train and hop into the Lomachenko hop train. And now that crashed as well. So they better off going to the subway now. You know what I'm saying? They running out of trains because Lomachenko didn't want to fight Devin Haney and got beat by TEO. How ironic is that? But he is a good talent. You have to be a great fighter to win 2 gold medals and become a champion in the pros. But they overhyped him. They labeling him as pound for pound #1 on top of Andre Ward and Terrence Crawford when he only had like 8 fights and 1 lost. Now they have to face it. Now, what does that mean? Is Lopez pound for pound #1? Because if you be pound for pound #1, you're supposed to be pound for pound #1. Because if you compare, Floyd Mayweather was actually old. He was 36. He was about to be 37 years old. And we already know as a fighter, you start declining after 34. When you hit 34, you start declining as a fighter. Before that, you're reaching your peak, right? As far as experience, as far as man's strength, as far as the whole package, knowing the in and outs in the boxing ring. And Floyd was an old fighter, and he still beat Canelo Alvarez every single round, whooped him from pillow to post. And Canelo had 50 fights. He was 23 years old, the same age as Lopez, but he had more experience in the pros, being a pro for 8 years, and also having 50 fights. And Floyd Mayweather was in his 5th weight division. But as soon as he beat Canelo, they told him, go up and wait and fight Gennady Golovkin. Meanwhile, leading up to the Lomachenko fight, they were trying to paint the narrative that Lomachenko is old, even though he's 32 years old. Even though he's in his prime. Even though, like I pointed out before, he fought at 132 in the amateurs and won a gold medal there. So 135 is a comfortable weight as well. So that was only his 3rd weight division. And he let a fighter like Lopez, who had only 1 title defense, he let Lopez beat him and school him. He didn't just knock him out. He showed that he's a better boxer, that he a better fighter than Lomachenko. So you got to give credit where credit is due, because old media, they want to say being undefeated is not impressive. Being undefeated for 20 years is not impressive. But they over here erasing Lomachenko losses. Now, let's see you guys try to erase Lomachenko loss on more than one occasion. Erase 2 losses now. How about that? Whatever happens in the dark will always come to light, and the truth will always come out. And the truth is, Lomachenko is a good fighter, but he's not as good as old media hyped him out to be. I mean, that's why fighters end up taking steroids in the sport of boxing, because they try to live up to the hype and they can't live up to the hype. So they have to resort to illegal tactics in order to live up to the hype. So Lomachenko, obviously, he's a great talent, but Lopez, shit, it's called a takeover. You know, Brooklyn in the house. He knocked out Comey, then beat Lomachenko. So credit to Lopez, because he nullified Lomachenko all around the board, from his footwork. I mean, Lomachenko, he could utilize all them angles against lesser talent, against lesser fighters that don't have the same footwork he has. But Lopez, he brought speed to the table. His hand speed possibly better than Lomachenko. He had more power. He had just as much skill. He also had footwork. So even though experience wasn't on his side, he overcame that and defeated the more experienced fighter that's in his prime, Lomachenko. So Lopez, man, he get all the credit in the world for pulling off such a tremendous victory. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up the phone calls right now.
I forget the other fighter's name, the one that knocked out the guy in the first round. What was his name?
Berlanga?
Yeah, Berlanga. You know how he started doing push-ups after the end of the fight because he didn't do the game plan. He didn't do what he was supposed to do.
Yeah.
Well, Loma, like, he owed his trainer or whoever, he owed him push-ups all night because not for real, because you're supposed to be the Matrix, but you didn't even, like, if you look at Lopez, he stayed composed. He shot with the jab. He made sure he cut off the ring. He put the body shots in. You know, that insurance that later paid off, you know what I'm saying? He followed everything he was supposed to do like a real true champion. And if you look at Loma, he didn't do anything that would make you indicate that he's the champion or he's the draw at least. And it's like, whoa, man, you're supposed to be the Matrix. The Matrix is supposed to be this thing that's complex. But you didn't really have nothing for him. You didn't have a plan A, plan B. And if you look at Lopez's arsenal, he had everything. Even when he started kind of getting hit with the jab and he started kind of getting tagged like around 8, round 9, because that's really when what's the name started turning up. Loma started turning up. He adjusted with the uppercut. He's like, okay, he had something for it. And that's the thing. He adjusted like a true champion. And we looked at Loma and we seen him go through adversity. He had nothing for it but to just run away from it until he was like, okay, I can't run away no more. I just got to go at it. And he went at it and he started getting hit. Like, people were like, oh, you know, I was looking at Twitter, you know, update by the second. People were like, oh, he's starting to catch him clean and he's getting the cleaner shots. I'm like, bullshit. Every time he gets those little pitty pat, he's eating one in the bread basket or catching a hard left hook. And I'm like, yeah, like, this ain't, he don't have nothing other than them little tricks where he just jumps to the side. Like, that shit is like, nah, you need way more than that when you come up to the elite level. And we see it all the time, even with Triple G. Every time they get that elite level, all that bullshit go out the window. You know, that's why you can't hop on the, you know, the hype train so quick, because you got to wait until they run into someone who can show them. And remember, he said, oh my God, just like I said, man, this is like the most perfect way to beat the hype. Because remember, before the fight, he was like, I'm 100%. Ain't no injuries. Now I can show y'all what I really got. Oh my God.
Yeah, no excuses. There's no excuses.
Pretty. Hold it, you're not that pretty. I'm a bad man. Wait. I took up the world. I took up the world. I took up the world. I bear witness, there's only one God, Allah, and Muhammad is his final messenger. That's what I said, Larry.
on the Bungu fight. Thanking you.
They call me the problem, but you could call me the can man, cause anybody can get it. Africans, Americans, Dominicans, Mexicans, anybody can get it.